Hi there, I'm Dave Marks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about being stuck in a rut. Uh, I've met lots of musicians in all the years that I've been playing who have gone through periods where they find it difficult to relate to their instrument, difficult to find the motivation to practice. They find they don't enjoy listening to music as much as they did before. The bands that they're in, it doesn't feel fulfilling to them. I have been through all of these things myself as well. They come to everybody and they happen more than once. I've had it happen a bunch of times, and I know in the future it'll happen again. The key with it is having some sort of ideas for dealing with that inevitability, rather than just waiting for it to arrive and then feeling massively depressed. So here's a couple of suggestions that I have. One of them is to make sure that there's something else going on in your life that makes you happy other than music. Now this might sound strange, and people may say, oh, but I'm very focused and I'm very dedicated to my music, and it's all I care about. And that's cool, but it was something a student said to me recently. He said, I want to focus on my music and I want to practice a lot and be very dedicated, and I'm reluctant to, for example, get into a serious relationship with a woman, which I thought was mental, because as musicians, we're supposed to be creating art which informs on, it communicates something to the rest of the world and should be informed by our experience. Now, if I avoid being in relationships with people so that I can work on my technical facility on the instrument, for example, I'm going to be incredibly articulate but have nothing to say. And to me, that's a problem. I would rather go and see, someone who can only play 4 chords on the guitar, but really feels something and really makes me feel something while they perform, than seeing someone who's an incredible technician, but really has no life experience. And you can feel it when they play. You can feel it's all strings and numbers and letters and the science and the math of it, with none of the I've had my heart broken, and I've been through a whole load of different things, and this is it all coming out. So the first thing I would say is make sure you have that thing. Another reason to have something else going on in your life is because if all you do is music, it's a very small circle for you to spin around in. And I've seen lots of people you can kind of lose your mind a bit with it. You can get far too involved, far too wrapped up. And so to have something that's non-musical is really, really important. And maybe something you're a bit crap at as well. I started doing Wing Chun again. I did it when I was a teenager, and I started it again about 2 years ago. And it was an incredibly humbling experience for me going into a classroom. I go into a classroom as a teacher, and it's assumed as soon as I walk in the room that I know more than my students. It's just how the teacher-student relationship works. They want to know something, and I have something to bring to them. And I learn a lot from them, but it's an assumed thing that there's a certain amount of respect and a certain amount of a hierarchy there. I went into my Wing Chun classes at the start, and I couldn't do anything at all right. It was just rubbish. I couldn't see what I was doing wrong. I couldn't correct the things that I was doing wrong. I didn't have any understanding of that, and it was brilliant because it reminded me of what it's like to be a beginner in anything. You really need someone to help you and take you in hand so that you can develop the instinct. And it also let me see how far I had come as a musician, because I saw in my teacher the way that he was natural, the way that he could see exactly what I was doing wrong, just the level of understanding he had. And I thought, I have that whenever I teach guys. So it can be good. It'll remind you how far you have come. Another thing to do is go and get some lessons. Go to a new teacher. Go to somebody you've never been to before. Get a new perspective on what you're doing. They may throw you something that you'd never thought of before, and it could awaken the musician in you and pull you out of that rut. That can be expensive. If you don't have much money, then it might not be an option. Look around the internet. Look around YouTube. Find other lessons. Find other tutors. The last idea I would say, which is really, really important, is to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the right people. Now by that I mean you can have incredibly capable musicians, guys who can play, you know, monstrous players that don't really make very good music. You can similarly have players who are quite average or even not really great, but have such spirit and such energy whenever they play. It makes the whole act of creating music a shared thing, and it makes it far more inspiring and far more rewarding. So if you find yourself in a rut, look around at the bands that you're playing in, look around at the musicians that you're playing with, and think to yourself, do I feel inspired? Do I get on with these people? Are they making me feel, am I glad to turn up to rehearsal? Are we, you know, is it a good environment to be in? If it's not, I wouldn't say that you have to leave those bands, but start something else up, a side project, a jam session, something where you and a few buddies just get together and just, you know, get into a rehearsal room and rock out. It's not a rehearsal for a gig. There's nobody getting paid for anything. There's no pressure. It's just you playing and having fun and exploring your instrument and messing around. That kind of experience is very important. Remember what the word play means. We play music. Watch children. Watch how they play. Playing is all about enjoying something. As soon as a kid doesn't enjoy playing anymore, they go on to something else. They play a different game. But as adults, we get filled up with a sense of, you know, failure and the need to see things through and hang in there and all that kind of stuff. But it can sort of kill the love that you have for playing. So bear those things in mind. The first thing, make sure you have other things going on in your life. Very, very important. And take care of those things. When they start to slide and move out of perspective a little bit, that could be maybe a sign that you're not really nurturing yourself or taking care of yourself properly. Possibly go and get some lessons from a teacher. Go and see somebody who you haven't seen before and try and get a new perspective on things. Think about the musicians and the environment that you find yourself in and make sure that it's positive and inspiring, that you have at least some of what you do that, you know, really motivates and inspires you. And finally, make sure that you jam and play and you have some time set aside in your life where it's not for any greater cause other than just to have fun. Get together and play with some guys. Also, if any of you have any strategies that you've used or any approaches, things that have gotten you out of a rut, please post video responses and share. I think this is the kind of thing that musicians really need whenever they're going through difficult times, is knowing that there are other musicians out there who've been through this, from, you know, young and inexperienced up to very serious professionals. Everybody's been through these things. So feel free to post a video and let us know how you got through. See you next time.